Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me looking at some more MTG Finance. And we're going to have a run of these because I've been away for the last couple of days. Merry Christmas to anyone, everyone listening. And yeah, hopefully it was good. Let me know in the comments what you guys got up to. And let's have a look at what's been happening for the reserve list in the last couple of days. So, first things first, I'm going to just start off really simply, go through each of the revised edition dual lands, find out what the TCG price is, and see if there's any decent movement. Because I think there was a point where I was saying that it feels like the market is getting pretty oversold, at least as far as the pricing goes. A lot of the 30th anniversary now is behind us. It felt like a lot of that happened before the drop came out. And while I'm not too sure if aggressive moves are needed because, we can get a pretty decent return from any bank, at least an online bank. If you got one in Australia, you can get 4.55%, which is pretty decent, not keeping up with inflation. But when interest rates are going to go up, inflation is usually not the first thing on people's minds. It's to protect their cash in case of buying opportunities in the future. So let's have a look at Badlands. Badlands is bouncing pretty aggressively. Started off in the November 28th-ish era, but then again, you're talking about like a $25, maybe about a 5% bounce, 5 to 7%. You can get a lightly played, what feels like $320, actually not a bad price. That is actually the lowest as well. So a heavily played is 345. Huh. Add to cart? No. So 320 for lightly played revised edition dual land, Badlands. Doesn't sound too bad for me. Historically, this is starting to sound similar to the prices that I remember in late 2020 again. And remember that was before the bounce. So late 2020 was actually before the bounce, where it started peaking off in 2021. So it's actually very good prices in a lot of cases. So here you go, 320. So yeah, 320, average 320. That's December of 2020. And then it obviously peaked out around about August of 2021 when it almost went up by another $100 on top. And it's important to remember that some of the highly or lightly played near mint ones were selling for those stupid 999s because of market manipulation, but there was none available on the market either. Now you got 10 listings, and the highest listing, you got 10 from moderately played, you got 13 from lightly played for Joyous Closet. So you got some decent quantities here again, and they seem to be here for a while. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but if you guys have any stories, let me know down in the comments below as well. And if you like these kinds of videos, like and subscribe. Just keeps me going into the new year and see what happens. Bayou. So Bayou again, TCG player, 350, actually dropping off quite aggressively on the charts in MTG stocks. What is TCG player saying? Flatlining pretty much for the last couple of days. Actually still on the downward trend. Lightly played for $358 and near mint for $431. Now remember again, I really don't want to look at the heavily played. Moderately played only if you're super desperate. Near mints and lightly played are really where it's at. They hold their value a lot better, especially if you want to sell them to other people that you know. Moving on, Plateau. Plateau actually looks like there's a decent bounce happening in the corner right over here. You can see that, decent bounce happening. TCG player says 250. You can get a heavily played, so what is that? End of November, a pretty aggressive bounce, 322 to 329. But truthfully, it actually looks more aggressive on MTG stocks than it does here. Lightly played for 351. This is not a good deal. This is still quite a bit of a difference in pricing. So you really want to make sure that the lightly played is closer to the heavily played. So the discount window is lower. You don't want to see this kind of wide gap because then you're literally getting ripped off. At least in this period of time where your money can actually do work for you, you're getting ripped off if you have this much of a disparity between the prices. Moving over to Savannah, 290 on TCG player. Price is stable by the looks of it, 355 for MTG stocks. Damage, no, I don't want damage. A bit of a bounce in the graph, but nothing crazy. Lightly played 384 still feels a bit high end. And actually not much stock on here. Interesting, not much stock on here. What is going on here? We got 9 976 is the Federal Reserve not raising its rates in fast enough by the looks of it. So yeah, still pretty aggressive for that one. Scrubland, last one, another one to check. So 251 on TCG Player, sitting around about 330 average. 209, but that's damaged. Graph is all over the place. A lightly played is 371 once again. Now this actually looks like light volume again. This is starting to once again look like people are starting to move back into the market. So I wonder if there's been a bit of a reversal of the Magic 30th, where people are just like, well, I don't know if we called Wizards of the Coast bluff or not, but it looks like they aren't too confident about printing reserved list cards in a legal form. So the one that they printed was stupidly priced, was not tournament legal, had a back that was not tournament legal, had fancy versions and everything, but I don't know how much people actually care about it. If you're going to spend that much money, why not just actually get a reserved list card? Maybe that's bringing some confidence back into the reserved list market. Very interesting. We'll have to follow up. Tiger, moderately played 244. A bit of a bounce in the last couple of weeks. What is the best price? You can get a lightly played for 396 once again. That this still feels on the higher end. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have been picking up some the last couple of days. I think, or last couple of weeks. I think either people are trying to pick these up again for presents or something else is going on. Maybe the idea of a stimulus check is coming back into focus. It is important to remember that the stimulus is not coming directly into people's hands like it did before, but who knows? Maybe that's the plan in the future for the US anyways. Tundra, flattening out at $480. Going back to the pricing, what are we going to see? Lightly played, $410. Not too bad. Quite a bit of a low value. It's just dropping and kind of stabilized at the lower end of the drop as well. So we'll have to see how that one goes. Underground Sea, actually a bit of a bounce, at least as far as the MTG stock goes, but it's still on the downward trend. TCG Player for 589 on the higher end of the pricing, obviously, because it's Underground Sea. Flatlining for the last couple of days. Best price you can get for a lightly played, $765. Still very expensive. I feel like we saw some better value a couple of weeks ago than we are seeing right now. Interesting. Let me know again if that is the case. Volcanic Island. Yeah, of course, that was the price. So $635 on TCG Player. Quite a bit of an aggressive bounce in the last couple of days again. And it looks like the pricing on the TCG graph is a bit more delayed than the one that's on the MTG stocks. But interesting. Okay, that's actually really cool. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. Prices dropped. But then again, I guess I had to see what that actually is comparing it to. But there you go, $478. But that's a damaged one. What's the best we can do for lightly played? $716, still on the higher end of pricing. So overall, what's the picture that we're seeing? So it feels like overall we're still getting quite pricey cards coming in, and we're not 100% sure if that's because people have decided that MTG 30th is behind us, and Wizard of the Coast kind of did their big fancy thing for this 3 decades, and that there is no way that they can just throw out another reserve list card print until maybe the next 30th anniversary. I'm not too sure, but currently it doesn't look like they're doing too much. Another thing I want to do at the very end of this is just have a look at the Hasbro stock, which is literally my only stock that's actually doing well right now. Everything else is down the toilet, but you know, that's mostly because Hasbro is probably going to follow in a little bit. But at least for now, we can see there is a positive trend. I think I did mention that there was a chance that Hasbro can be bouncing off its, weekly moving average, or was it the monthly moving average? It must have been the monthly. Let's go and check out the monthly. So yeah, if it doesn't end up above $61 by the end of this month, it is exceedingly oversold, and it probably can drop further if it ends the month below that $61. But 100%, the double bottom is very, very interesting. Now, I'm not expecting this to last. Most of the time, double bottoms in a stock is the sign of a top or a bottom of that stock for a while. So it goes, bounces, goes back, bounces, and then shoots off to the moon. The MACD, the RSI, all looks positive. You got higher and higher and higher RSI as it goes lower and lower and lower. Normally that's a sign of people building positions. The MACD is changing, which means it's now got a green bar, which should mean, in most cases, tomorrow should be a slight green day, the next day should be a slight green day, and you should normally have about 8 to 9 of these green days once you have a green bar. But the problem is the entire market is skewed by what's happening in the S&P 500, what's happening in the US dollar. If the dollar strengthens, the US dollar, which currently, let's have a look again. I'm downloading Borderlands again because I'm going to play it with some friends. So my internet's completely slow. Dollar is not giving away any actual secrets. The MACD is changing up, but I would want to see the RSI doing that staircase thing as the price action doesn't follow. And then that's when you know you can start looking at positions because people are accumulating and then there's a chance for it to bounce. This isn't looking too promising. So not much there. The VIX, obviously, if it hits $20 again, there's a chance that it might bounce again because obviously currently no one trusts the VIX below $20. Everyone's buying it all the time at 20, but then it gets pushed back to 20. Not much money to be made there, but the VIX does check for volatility. I think the reason why it's so stable when the market is so volatile is everyone expects the market to be volatile. I know it's weird to say, but that's the only reason I can think of is the VIX is normally unexpected stuff. And with the interest rates tightening, the unexpected stuff is market's probably going to go sideways or fall because the interest rates are going up. That's just a given. So VIX doesn't need to really do much. We'll have to see because normally what happens is the market only bottoms, stock market only bottoms after the VIX has hit like 45. And that's a long way away, and that's a big fall if it ever actually gets down to up to that point again. So we'll have to see how that goes. Anyway, the reason why I'm bringing up Hasbro is that the better the Hasbro stock does, the more confidence I have in the reserve list. Now, I can't have any confidence until this month ends because who knows what's going to happen in the last 3 days of trading. But right now, if Hasbro doesn't finish above $61, there's a chance that the next year could be far, far worse. And the only reason why it can fit itself above $61 is if the market has confidence that Hasbro isn't going to stuff it up in the next couple of days. I don't think there's any big announcements. Maybe the market likes the fact that they're going to be messing around with D&D. I'm not too sure, but it does look like there's still some momentum there. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening, and see you guys next time.